My name is Dustin Grange, and my project was Boxed Up. So, a quick summary of my project is I wanted to create a REST API as the backend service for an Android app. I chose to split my project up into these two parts as I eventually want to add a web interface to communicate also with my API. And the whole purpose of my project were to create a virtual manifest of everything you have packed away into boxes or any other kind of container, whether it's for moving or long-term storage. My core tasks were originally, and I guess still are, were to allow my API to be able to create, read, update, and destroy box items on a remote server through the API interface. And then for my Android application, I wanted to create 3 basic screens of interaction. One for viewing all the boxes you own and having the ability to add or remove boxes at will, and then also an individual box screen so you can examine the contents of that box and also be able to add and remove items from that box. And then also a individual item screen to show the attributes and history of a particular item. And so as you will see when I demo my application a little bit later, I have accomplished all these core tasks, and I will attempt to demo all of them for you. So with the hope tasks, unfortunately I did not get any of the hope tasks completed for my Android app. So demoing these API features might be difficult. I added support though to my API for arbitrary attributes for items. I removed those from boxes. They just didn't seem to work as well as I'd hoped for the boxes, but for items they're great. This allows you to have a lot more flexibility to mark up your items the way you see fit. And then I also added a history feature for boxes and extended that actually to the items as well. And I have built user authentication into my API as well. A big part of my project was that I wanted to expose myself to as many new technologies as possible, or at least ones I hadn't used yet. So I had some work experience using Ruby on Rails, so I decided to build my backend in Golang with Martini. And also through work experience and then also the databases class, I'd worked with MySQL before, so this time around I opted for a NoSQL database, which was MongoDB. And I also deemed it important to learn one of the mobile OS platforms before I graduate, and I chose Android because that's currently what my phone's running. And obviously when you develop Android you also have to learn Java, which was quite fun. And so as it goes for my time allocation, I'd started working on my API before I thought about using software to track my development time. So that is where the about 15 hours comes from, next to the API. And then the other 22 hours for API are actually measured hours from the software that I was using. And then that totals up to about 37 hours for the API alone. And then the hours for my app may be slightly inflated versus my learning hours, just because a lot of the learning for the Android and Java work that I had done was mostly I did a little bit of reading and some small projects on the side to kind of get the basics down, but then a lot of that was just to dive in and start learning as I developed. So, and as follows, the rest of the learning hours equaled about 21 hours, and that totaled up to 107 hours, which I was a little bit short of where I was hoping to be, but I still feel I put in a lot of work into this project so far. So let's go take a look at my app so far. So this is the main screen, which has your list of boxes. Each one of these cards represents a box, and I wanted from the very beginning for this to be minimalistic, simplistic UI, and so I just wanted it to be based around these cards. So you have the number of items that each card has in it, and then also these are history records for each box. Like I'd mentioned in my when I was going over the slides, I haven't fully integrated the history and attributes hope tasks of my API into the Android application, so they might display, but there's no way to add them currently. So if we click one of these boxes, let's go into this something box. Oh, alright. It takes us into the individual box screen, which is the minimalistic UI as well. It's based around the same principles. I wanted everything card based, and with the attributes and history items that I've mentioned again before that I currently don't have support of creating in the Android app. If I had created them manually through curl commands or directly talking to the database through a command line, the attribute items, the custom attribute items would be listed up here above this break right in the middle, and all the history items, kind of like on that previous screen, they would all list out underneath. So if we can add a new item to a box by clicking this little button down here. Brings up a simple, just another card. We can put it whatever we want. Let's add magic. So we'll add magic to this box. It loads it right away and we're good to go. And let's say we didn't want this box anymore or any of its contents. We can simply just go in and click this trash can right here. It immediately trashes that and all the contents, and you're back at the main screen. So once you're back at the main screen, it's same consistent UI that you saw just a minute ago. You want to add a box, you come down to this screen right down here. You click on it, brings up a description for your new box. Let's call it our treasure box or treasure chest. So there's our treasure chest. So we can go into the treasure chest, and currently we have no items. As we had saw before, I can add items there, or if I want to cancel, I can either click this red circle here or click anywhere outside of that. And so I had mentioned in my slides before that I had originally on my plans I had a individual item screen displayed. I currently have one. It just displays a JSON because I built it out, but it really, all of the information that would be shown on its own individual item actually just gets displayed on the card previous to this card here. And thank you for watching.